I want to tell you about Anna. She was married for 25 years before she got divorced. When we spoke, she said something that stayed with me. It's hard to become a better person, even when you really, really want to. Anna's story. Anna, I have always been, how do I put it, explosive. Not violent, not mean, but got really, really angry over nothing sometimes. Quick to react, quick to raise my voice, quick to let words fly that I'd regret 2 minutes later. A dirty cup left in the sink, a door left open, someone walking too slowly in front of me, when someone was not listening or answering quickly enough. Little things, but they'd light a fire in me before I could even think. And afterward, the shame. The quiet voice in my head whispering, "Why did you say that? Why can't you just be kind?" Most of the time I was nice. I was loving, caring, funny even. But that 5%, that sharp edge, it poisoned the rest. I wanted so much to be a gentle person. I even searched online, how to be nicer, how to stop getting angry. I found lists of tips and tricks, count to 10, breathe, walk away, but none of it touched the storm inside. For years I carried this belief that something was wrong with me, that maybe I just wasn't meant to be one of those calm, graceful women who never raised their voice. And then one day, something shifted, not because of a big event, but because I started to really look at myself, where it came from. I grew up in a time and a family where you didn't talk about feelings. My parents worked hard, kept things practical. We didn't talk about what hurt or what we needed. We just kept going. So when I became an adult, I didn't know how to say what I felt. I could only show it, and the easiest way to show it was anger. When I felt ignored, I got angry. When I felt small or unseen, I got angry. It wasn't hatred. It was fear, loneliness, tiredness, but I had no language for that, no practice expressing myself. So I exploded instead, and I wanted to hurt with my words. I used to think my anger was the problem, but the real problem was silence. Decades of it. I never learned another way to be heard. The turning point. After my divorce, I finally had time to think. No one to blame, no one to argue with, just me, my patterns, and the mirror. One day I looked at that mirror and said, if you really want to be kind, you have to start understanding what your anger does to others. It sounds simple, but that thought changed everything. I began to imagine what it felt like for the other person, my husband, my kids, the cashier, the friend, to stand in front of me when I was angry. The way my words might have landed, the way my face might have looked, the way the air in the room must have changed. And I realized, when I shout, I transfer my pain. I don't solve it, I pass it on. That was the moment I decided. If I truly want to be better, I have to care more about how the other person feels than how right I am. So I started practicing. When something irritated me, I paused, just one breath. And I'd ask myself, how can I say this in a way that doesn't hurt? Sometimes I still said it wrong. Sometimes I still snapped. But little by little, I learned. I started to listen more, to tone, to timing, to the weight of my words. I began to practice nicer answers, soft beginnings instead of sharp ones. Instead of, "Why would you do that?" I'd try, "That really frustrated me. Can we talk about it?" It felt awkward at first, like wearing someone else's shoes, but after a while it became natural. The words started to fit, and slowly the anger that once ruled me began to shrink. For the first time, I realized I wasn't really an angry person. I was a woman who had never been taught to express herself kindly. No one had shown me how to have real conversations about what hurts, what's needed, what's missing. Now I was learning that, and it was changing everything. When I spoke honestly, the pressure inside me eased. When I said, "That made me feel left out," instead of shouting, I saw understanding in the other person's eyes, not fear. I understood, finally, that kindness isn't something you're born with. It's a skill, one you can learn at any age. It takes patience, awareness, and practice. I used to believe that becoming a better person meant never feeling anger. Now I know it means understanding it, seeing it early, naming it clearly, and choosing a different response. And I have to say, I like who I am becoming. Gentler, still fiery sometimes, but in the right ways. More truthful, more patient, more free. When Anna finished her story, she smiled. Not a proud smile, but a peaceful one. The smile of someone who has made peace with her humanity. She said, "It took me more than 50 years to understand that anger is just unspoken pain. Once you start speaking honestly, with kindness, it loses its power." Her words stayed with me for days. Because many of us, especially women from her generation, were never taught how to express what we feel. We learned to keep the peace, to be polite, to swallow our frustration. And when emotions have no language, they turn into something else. Tension, sharp words, sudden explosions. Anna's story reminds us that it's never too late to learn a new language. The language of calm honesty, of empathy, of choosing peace over pride. So, if you've ever felt like Anna, if you've ever said things you didn't mean, or felt your temper take over before you could stop it, remember this. You are not broken. You are simply learning a skill that no one ever taught you. And the moment you begin to care about how your words feel to others, that's the moment you start becoming the woman you always wanted to be.